Archduke Eugen, Ferdinand, Pius, Bernhard, Felix, Maria of Austria-Teschen was an Archduke of Austria and a Prince of Hungary and Bohemia. He was the last Grand Master of the Teutonic Knights from the Habsburg dynasty. Early life. Eugen was the son of Karl Ferdinand, Archduke of Austria, and of his wife Archduchess Elisabeth Franziska of Austria. He was born at the castle of Groß-Seelowitz, near Brunn in Moravia. At his baptism he was given the names Eugen Ferdinand, Pius, Bernhard, Felix, Maria. His education was Spartan in character. His country living at Groß-Seelowitz and holidays at Schuhmann alternated with a sound education and strict instruction. At the Albrechts Ballet in Vienna, Eugen received instruction in all the military subjects in addition to languages, music and the history of art. At the age of 14, in keeping with the family tradition and like his elder brother Friedrich, he also began his military career with the Tyrolean Kaiser Jäger Regiment and was commissioned as a lieutenant on the 27th of October 1877. Shortly thereafter he was transferred as an Oberleutnant to a Hussar regiment and in the following years participated in many lengthy maneuvers. In 1882, Eugen took an examination before a commission assembled by Archduke Albrecht that verified his suitability to attend the military academy at Wiener Neustadt. Eugen became then the sole Archduke to attend the several-year-long course at the academy and subsequently successfully graduated as a fully trained General Staff Officer. Military career. In 1885, Eugen was assigned to the General Staff and rapidly rose through the ranks. He commanded the Battalion of Infantry Regiment 13 as a lieutenant colonel before assuming command of the entire regiment as a colonel. Following a further regimental assignment as commanding officer of Hussar Regiment 13, he assumed command of an infantry brigade in Olmütz and then a division in Vienna. In 1900 he was appointed to the command of 14th Army Corps in Innsbruck and promoted to General Air Cavalry on the 27th of April 1901. This command simultaneously also made him the commanding general in Innsbruck and the defense commander for the Tyrol. He was appointed 8 years later as an army inspector and senior defense commander for the Tyrol. When in 1909 the possibility of a war against Serbia was in the air, he, alongside Archduke Franz Ferdinand and General Alboria, was named as a presumptive army commander. Eugen also had exercised his influence in the field of personnel. He had urgently recommended Field Marshal Lieutenant Konrad von Hotzendorf, his divisional commander at Innsbruck, as the successor to the retiring Chief of the General Staff, General Bekzhikowski. In 1911, the Archduke retired from active military service ostensibly for health reasons. Konrad von Hotzendorf, however, suggested in his memoirs that Archduke Franz Ferdinand had become increasingly jealous of the importance of Eugen. In addition to his military career, above all else, Eugen was called upon to perform his duty as the Grand Master of the Teutonic Knights. On the 11th of January 1887, Eugen entered the Teutonic Knights as a professed knight. At the same time he was chosen to be the coadjutor of his uncle, Archduke Wilhelm, then Hochdeutsch Meister. When Archduke Wilhelm suddenly died, Eugen was enthroned as the new Hochdeutsch Meister on the 19th of November 1894, and in this office he also proved himself very effective. He further developed the institution of the volunteer nursing care, founded new hospitals and improved the training of the sisters. Finally, he had the central archives of the order in Vienna sorted out and extended. World War I. At the outbreak of the First World War, he immediately reported for active duty. He was, however, at first palmed off with a relatively unimportant post as the patron of the Voluntary War Welfare Organization. Finally, he was transferred in December 1914 to replace Oskar Poscharek and assume the post of commander of the forces in the Balkans with his headquarters at Peterwardein, together with his chief of staff, Feldmarschall Lieutenant Alfred Krauss, a very talented military theoretician with a decisive and vigorous character. He reorganized the hard-hit Fifth Army. On the 22nd of May 1915, Eugen was promoted to Generaloberst. 2 days later, on the 24th of May, he was entrusted with the command of the southwestern front against Italy. He moved his headquarters to Marburg and now commanded a theatre stretching from the Swiss border to the Adriatic. His main objective here was a pure and simple defense against the many times numerically superior Italian forces. Only at the beginning was the designation Southwest Front Command clear. From March 1916, it functioned as Heeresgruppe and Kommando Erzherzog Eugen in Tyrol to the exclusion of the remaining parts of the front, and at the beginning of the execution of the 12th Battle of the Isonzo as Heeresfront Erzherzog Eugen with the Allied German 14th Army and Heeresgruppe von Borowicz under command, but Heeresgruppe von Conrad was not immediately subordinate. During the First Battle of the Isonzo, Eugen traveled back and forth behind the front. He attended many conferences, appeared on the front lines and encouraged the troops, and in this way achieved great popularity. At the same time, he managed the rear areas in order to guarantee the best possible supply to the forward troops. Before the great attack from the South Tyrol, which took place in the spring of 1916, Eugen assumed command as Army Group Commander of the 11th and 3rd Armies and took up headquarters at his cousins, the Graf von Bosen und Maurer estate just outside Bozen. After initial success, the attack had to be broken off in consequence of the danger posed to the Russian front following the Brusilov offensive of June 1916 and the subsequent transfer of formations to the threatened front. However, after breaking off the offensive, Archduke Eugen successfully withdrew his troops in the second half of June 1916 into secure positions. In the further course of the war, Eugen had to transfer more and more of his troops to the hard-fighting Isonzo army, so that he soon had to manage without reserves in his own theatre of operations. Although he had only a very limited forces holding the Tyrolean front, he never considered withdrawing further and shortening his line. He was too personally attached to the land to do that. Eugen was promoted to Field Marshal on the 23rd of November 1916, and in the middle of March 1917 again took up his work as the commander of the Southwest Front. During the Caporetto offensive, Eugen was the actual commander, employing his complete energy in the process. He recognized that this was the last favorable opportunity for the Central Powers. The Archduke, who normally was no great flair of the soldiers, could on this occasion not push hard enough. There appeared temporarily to be great confusion in the issuing of orders. It is possible that many blamed Eugen and his staff for this, against the will of the Chief of the General Staff, Generaloberst Baron A.R.Z. von Strausenberg. The Emperor Karl released Eugen from active service on the 18th of December 1917. The Southwestern Front command was terminated. The relief of Eugen does not appear to have been made for personal but on objective reasons. After Russia's withdrawal from the war and the shortening of various other fronts, the senior generals pushed at the PR. With his very senior rank, Eugen could only be a commander-in-chief. But as the Emperor Karl himself took up the supreme command, Eugen had to go. Eugen still enjoyed high renown, and at the end of the war at the beginning of November 1918, the idea of Eugen becoming a regent was introduced. The last foreign minister Graf Andrassy and the Member of Parliament Dr. Franz Dinghofer of the German Nationalist Party had discussed this. However, Eugen would never have accepted such an offer without the consent of the emperor. Military awards. Amongst the Archduke's considerable number of Austro-Hungarian awards, here are the most important: Order of the Golden Fleece, Military Merit Cross, Jubilee Commemoration Medal, Military Service Award 3 Class, Bronze Military Merit Medal, Brilliance to the Military Merit Cross, Second Expression of Appreciation, Military Jubilee Cross, Grand Cross of the Order of St. Stephen of Hungary, Red Cross Merit Star with War Decoration, Bronze Military Merit Medal, Military Merit Cross First Class with War Decoration, Large Military Merit Medal, Grand Cross of the Military Order of Maria Theresa, Silver Military Merit Medal with Swords, Brilliance to the Military Merit Cross First Class with War Decoration and Swords. He also received the swords to both his Large Military Merit Medal and Bronze Military Merit Medal at a later date to the original awards. Additionally, he was the possessor of a host of foreign awards and decorations: Grand Cross of the Order of the Star of Romania, Grand Cross of the Royal Spanish Order of Charles III, Throat and Breast Cross of a Professed Knight of the Teutonic Order, Grand Cross of the Royal Portuguese Military Merit Order, Grand Cross of the Grand Duke of Hesse Ludwig Order, Throat and Breast Cross of the Hochdeutschen Meister, Grand Cross of the Grand Ducal Tuscan Order of St. Joseph, Imperial Russian Order of St. Andrew with Chain, Imperial Russian Order of St. Alexander Nevsky, Imperial Russian Order of the White Eagle, Imperial Russian Order of St. Anna First Class, Siamese Order of the Royal House of Chakri, Royal Order of the Seraphim, Royal Swedish Jubilee Commemorative Medal, Papal Order of Christ, Grand Cross of the House Order of Saxe-Ernestine, Collar of the Royal Spanish Order of Charles III, Grand Cross of the Papal Order of the Holy Sepulchre, Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order, Commemoration Medal to the Regency of Queen Maria Christina of Spain, Grand Cordon of the Royal Belgian Order of Leopold, Royal Prussian Iron Cross First and Second Class, Grand Commander of the Royal Prussian Hohenzollern House Order with Swords, Grand Cross of the Royal Bavarian Military Order of Max Joseph, Imperial Ottoman Gold and Silver Imtiaz Medals, Friedrich August Cross First and Second Class of the Grand Duchy of Oldenburg, Royal Prussian Order Paul Emerit, Grand Cross of the House Order of Vigilance or of the White Falcon with Swords of the Grand Duchy of Saxe-Weimar, Honor Award of the Royal Bulgarian Red Cross, Oak Leaves to the Royal Prussian Order Paul Emerit, Royal Bulgarian Order of Bravery First Class, Grand Cross of the Royal Württemberg Military Merit Order, Royal Bavarian Honor Award to commemorate the golden anniversary of King Ludwig III. Later life. Following the collapse of the monarchy, Eugen first settled in Lucerne and then at Basel, where he lived modestly in a hotel from 1918 to 1934. In order to safeguard the existence of the Teutonic Order, Eugen voluntarily resigned his position as the Hochdeutschen Meister in 1923. He had been the last hereditary headmaster of the order. In this way the possessions of the order were saved. In 1934, Eugen settled at the order's convent at Gumpoldskirchen near Vienna. He participated at monarchical rallies, attended veterans' meetings and placed himself again at the service of the dynasty, even though he himself no longer believed in the restoration. Following the Anschluss of Austria to Germany in 1938, the Teutonic Order was dissolved and its possessions confiscated. Eugen received, probably with the intervention of Hermann Göring and other senior military figures, a rented house at Hietzing where he survived the Second World War. In 1945, he fled to the Tyrol where he received through the French occupying power a small rented villa at Igls. On the 21st of May 1953, the whole of Innsbruck celebrated the Field Marshal's 90th birthday. Eugen died on the 30th of December 1954 at Meran, surrounded by the brothers of his order from Milan. On the 6th of January 1955, he was buried in the St. Jakobskirche at Innsbruck next to Archduke Maximilian III. Ancestry. Bibliography. R.A.C. Robert. Archive Evoda Evson Habsbursko Lotrinsky 1863–1954 Velmista Radunemikaj Ritiru. Sovyanek. Eulenburg. As Media 2005. Schildenfeld, Zoe von Erzherzog Eugen, 1863–1963, Eingedenkbuch, Innsbruck F. Rauch, 1963. Chisholm, Hugh, ed. Eugene, Archduke, Encyclopaedia Britannica, London and Amp, New York.